Greetings. I'm your brother Minister Wasim Muhammad. Welcome to the Wasim Muhammad Show. And it is an honor again to broadcast to you here on the Camden City School District channel and to talk about some wonderful things that's uplifting to our community and make us aware about so many things that we need to talk about in our community. But I am so excited this particular show because I'm honored to be in the same studio and to interview a wonderful, wonderful person, our mayor here in the city of Camden, Mayor Dana L. Redd. Greetings, Mayor. How's it going?
Greetings, Minister
It's
Wasim.
always good to see you.
Always good to see you as well.
Well, I'm excited, and I want to first thank you for the opportunities, not only that you have given myself to represent the city on the advisory school board, but the opportunities that I see that you give so many people that grew up in Camden. They talk about, growing up in Camden and say everybody leaves Camden and nobody comes back and, different things like that. And I just wanted to say that because I know, you have a very pressured job, to more than a lack of many words that we can call that. But nevertheless, you keep moving forward. And you focus on young people, and I think that is great. And with that saying, I would like to start to let the community know about your background.
Sure. Well, one, I want to thank you for answering the call to serve and also volunteering on the Board of Education Advisory Board along with the other members. I think that, the work that you're doing in conjunction with our superintendent, Payman Rahanaford, certainly speaks volumes in terms of how we each collectively give back to the city of Camden and look for ways to empower our children, youth, and families. It is a great honor for me to serve as the mayor of Camden. I remember a few individuals asking me, why would you leave the Senate and come back to Camden? Well, guess what? Camden is really why I ever got involved in politics in the first place. Camden's always been my passion, and my father, back in the 70s, told our family never to leave Camden. My father's name was Ronald Redd, so for those that may not be familiar, a graduate of Camden High School, 1962, played football, basketball, and ran track. But had this unwavering belief in the city of Camden that one day there was going to be a resurgence and revitalization. And so I'm humbled, to continue his legacy, but to do it from the perspective of a servant leader. And I think that's what, I would like to see, modeled in our leaders across the city of Camden and beyond, the importance of servant leadership and putting people first as opposed to personal agendas.
Yes, ma'am. And with that, I think it's important on this channel that people know your background. I know the story. And I think a lot of people in the community, unless they know you up close and up personal, and you're a very private person as well, but nevertheless, but yet public. But, they don't know your story. They don't know, your triumphs and how you struggled as a young person to overcome so many things that we see happening in Camden City. We talk about single parent, and we talk about community parent, and we talk about village raising a child. We talk about so many of those wonderful things. And I think nobody can speak more of that than you can.
Sure. Well, as a lifelong resident of Camden, I grew up in Morgan Village, Lakeshore Drive, until the age of 8. 1976 is when I had a traumatic childhood experience, if you will, in that both of my parents tragically died in a situation that forever changed my life as the oldest sibling of 2. And, that really uprooted my life in so many respects in terms of the little friends that I had developed on the street, having to move away. But I was very fortunate, I have to say, in having a nurturing family, particularly both sets of grandparents. So my mother's parents and my father's parents, each of whom, embraced my brother and I, and made sure that we didn't get separated, end up in foster care, but that they would take that commitment to raising their grandchildren. And so that's why you see me have a lot of respect and, appreciation for grandparents that are raising their grandchildren. But in particular, my grandmother, Hazel Peoples, was very, very protective of my brother and I, and impressed upon us the importance of remaining in school. And, so dropping out of high school or school at any level was a non-negotiable.
Correct.
As you know, as it was to go to church on Sunday morning. You know, that was just
Absolutely.
built in our, you know, family structure, and that discipline and character development, but also having the love of a nurturing family, but also a community environment. So when, you know, I speak to many individuals around the city or even across the state, you know, it was the community that embraced my brother and I, that made sure that we literally wanted for nothing. I mean, they were so
Correct.
loving.
Yeah.
And I mean, you know, my Sunday school teacher, who's still alive in that Ferry Avenue United Methodist Church, Miss Mary Dorsey, you know, back in the day, and, you know, Antioch Baptist Church, of which I've been a member for many years. But, you know, just having the community to take us from 1976 to, you know, our adulthood certainly has had an indelible impression on my life. And so I say that to say that we all have an obligation to give back to our community. For those of us who have succeeded in life, that have made it, you know, out of Camden, in Camden, it is our responsibility to give back to the next generation and to do the part that the community before us did for each and every one of us. So
Now,
I feel really impassioned about that.
That experience that you talk about, how much of that do you think played a role in what makes the mayor today?
Oh my goodness, a large role in what makes the mayor today. You know, beyond my grandparents, you know, I worked in the private sector for a while. I was a bank teller at a Broadway and Market, and so I had a woman there, Joyce Golden, who mentored me, you know, in the banking experience. And as I went into other jobs, you know, I always was able to connect with a mentor. So the importance of the mentor-mentee relationship
Correct,
that
yes.
nurtured me in whatever business endeavor it was at the time. But individuals like the late freeholder Aletha Wright, the former principal of Camden High and legendary freeholder
Yes,
Roletta
indeed.
Cream, who quite frankly, you know,
Indeed,
we're honoring
yeah.
at our Black History program on tomorrow, February 27th, along with former Mayor Gwendolyn A. Faison, who invited me to run on her ticket back in 2001.
Yes.
You know, and I was used to being in the background, you know, just doing the political strategizing and get out the vote efforts, but being asked to step up. And so, you know, as they had poured into me, so then it was time to step up and to demonstrate that which they had taught me, and to, again, give back to the community. And the one thought that comes to mind as we talk, you know, freeholder Roletta Cream stated to me and taught me, once you have achieved for yourself, you have to give back to your community. And so, you know, we honor her, and I thank her for the time that we were able to spend together.
Yeah, I think that's so important, and you know, we have to do what we can do these days to bring that kind of spirit and atmosphere back
Yes.
to the city of Camden, to young people to serve and to come back. And I think you're doing a wonderful job of that in your leadership. And you know, we're going to get into a whole lot of different things, but I want to go back to, you know, your childhood and growing up. And what is your, you know, what is your tie? Even though you grew up in the Morgan Village section of Camden, everybody knows that Centerville was always the unwritten capital of the city of Camden.
Yes, yes. And we make sure we state that everywhere we go.
Correct.
So
Yeah.
Centerville, so as I was being raised by my grandparents, you know, from 8 and up. So during the winter months, I would stay with my my mother's parents, you know, because I went to school in the Waterfront South community, and in the summer I was there with my father's parents. And so Centerville was, oh my goodness, Roosevelt Manor. You had the pool. You just had so many activities going on. Centerville Day was then at the Pink Elephant Park. It's now at Staley Park.
Correct,
But I
yeah.
just remember the 70s were like a great time of
Grew up in
community.
Camden, yes.
You know, playing baseball between the, you know, the barrack-style housing of Roosevelt Manor.
Correct, yeah.
You know, you would bust somebody's window out, but you know, they would fix it. You know,
Correct.
just with the baseball, you know, playing the baseball game in between double dutch and hopscotch, and just being girls and the guys being little boys. So, you know, I have great love for Centerville. My parents, my mother and father actually came up out of Centerville. And so there is something about, you know, that place, that particular neighborhood, and all
Correct.
of our neighborhoods are great, but there is just something about that neighborhood that you know, is just undeniable for us as African Americans. And so
Correct.
the greats and the legendary individuals that have come from there, like a Leon Huff,
Correct.
a Lola Falana, and others that probably the young people today don't
Don't
even know
even
who
know
I'm
who I was
talking
talking
about.
Correct.
But, you know, Centerville was
Yeah.
the place to be and still is the capital of Camden as we celebrate it.
Correct. I think it's a wonderful experience. And growing up in Parkside section of Camden, everybody knew what Centerville brought. And I think had something to do with the pool.
Yes,
you know,
yes,
on hot
it was
summer
the pool.
days, you know. But I think the pool was very important in bringing the young people there, of giving them something to do. And I think that some people get it, and then you get that well. But we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back, and just want you, the audience, to know we have here with us this evening or this afternoon Mayor Dana Redd, and we're going to talk about some wonderful things as we have this candid conversation with our mayor, Mayor Dana Redd.
Hi, I'm Anthony Blaine, Executive Director for the Office of Safety and Security, and I'm here to offer you some tips about using our Camden City's Safe Corridor program, which are walk in groups when you can. Make sure that you are visible. Try to make sure that you can be seen in a different way. Do not take shortcuts throughout the Safe Corridor approach. No alleys, no roads. Use main thoroughfares where you can see crossing guards. And also don't be distracted, whether that's headphones, whether those are our winter masks. Make sure you can be seen and you can know where to go and to ensure a safe environment. Those are our tips for using the City's Safe Corridor program, and please understand that safety is a community effort. We need us all to have a call to service. Thank you.
Welcome back to the Wasim Muhammad Show, and as we stated earlier, we have our mayor, Mayor Dana Redd of the City of Camden, who we know is doing a wonderful job here in the City of Camden. And you know, I can't thank the mayor enough, as I always say, for the opportunity of pulling me out of the background which I come from, and as being a minister here in the City of Camden and serving our people and spiritually. And leadership takes on different roles as we as preachers and teachers have to do their role. You know, sometimes when we put the whole leg of the chair together, all of it serves a purpose in politics and different things. So this is what I want to talk to you about a little bit about, something that is very important, that we have a lot of conversations and that we have together, and talking about leadership.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know what, the responsibility of leadership is one that shouldn't be taken lightly. You know, some of the inspirational civil rights figures that I often look to are U.S. Congresswoman Shirley Chisholm, who talked about, you know, service as being the rent you pay for room on this earth. And we talked prior about, you know, the importance of giving back to the community. And I think you can do that from a number of different levels, whether elected or appointed positions, whether you head up your own nonprofit or you organize a community cleanup in your respective neighborhood. So leadership happens at all levels. Again, in a way to give back and nurture our own community, the place that we call home, which is Camden, New Jersey. I have been afforded an opportunity to represent Camden on a number of levels. I mentioned former Mayor Gwendolyn Faison asking me to run for councilwoman in 2001 on her slate, and quite frankly, it was a slate that was composed primarily of 3 women and 1 man. You know, so we want to see more women in leadership, if you will, for them to step up, and there's training programs to encourage them to do that. But also the opportunity to represent the city of Camden as the vice chair of the Democratic State Party, which is for the entire state of New Jersey.
Big job.
And as the vice chair of the state party from 2006 to 2010, somewhere around that time, I had the opportunity to represent Camden once again as a superdelegate for President Barack Obama during the historic election of 2008. So my point in bringing up some of these positions to our young people is you never know what door of opportunity is going to be open.
Correct.
Personally, we want to make sure that as doors of opportunity are presented, whether it's career advancement or doing your passion, that you are prepared, but also that you keep in mind that it is not about you. And particularly if you're representing Camden, it is about your city.
Correct.
It is about giving another perspective to the world, because we've had a national reputation for so many decades of being the worst city in America, whether it was crime or poverty. And I was determined that what, we're going to present another foot forward, or best foot forward, if you will, and demonstrate that we have incredible and talented people living in the city of Camden, and we're not the headlines that you read or have read about. And so lifting Camden up and propelling Camden into its positive future, I have to say, is my goal. It's my desire. It is my mission. Again, not to just push myself, because it's not about me, but to push out others such as yourself and the young people in the city of Camden who inspire me every day that I connect with them. They remind me why I do what I do and what I'm fighting for in the city of Camden.
And how challenging do you think that is? Do it get challenging to you sometimes?
I
want the people, because I want the people to know that you're human, and
Sure,
when we serve,
absolutely.
sometimes when we're in leadership, sometimes people forget that we're human beings, and we have a life and personal life and different things like that, but yet we still keep focusing, still keep going.
It's challenging in the sense that I'm a double minority. I'm a woman and I'm African American, so
Correct.
that I'm
Yes.
very cognizant of that, and
Correct.
and being able to move about in corporate America, but also function in urban America, I think is a skill set that I've developed, and it's just who I am. It's who and
Yes,
what I
ma'am.
am, right? So I like to be my authentic self.
Correct.
And
you're doing well.
thank you. And there are challenging days, but I try to keep my spirit filled with a word of encouragement, whether it's a pastor. One of my favorites, along with yourself, is Reverend Jamal Bryant, Pastor Jamal
Correct,
Bryant
yes.
from Baltimore. The work that he's doing with Mayor Stephanie Rollins Blake in
Correct.
Baltimore. Or even Bishop T.D. Jakes. So, inspirational life coaching messages that keep you moving and stepping into your destiny and looking to change people's lives, but to live your life on purpose. And that's what I attempt to do, is to live my life on purpose.
Correct, and you have that draw, and I know that's one of the things that drew me out, because that energy, or as you say, gravitates towards each other, and you see, as in the community, as they would say it, from our community, they keeping it real.
Yes, yes.
And that's that energy that you can still be yourself, and it's not, as we always say, that you don't have to, you can be confident in being yourself.
Absolutely.
As they say, in keeping it real, but yet stay focused to the world, because being African American, makes us international people. We're not just Americans, and we're proud to be that, but we're international people, because our people is everywhere. And I think to be able to adjust in different cultures and adjust in different realms in different rooms is what makes us who we are. And I think that's great, and you have modeled that well. And let's get back to, as we're talking about leadership. Okay, you're elected your first term as mayor. We come in with a governor who immediately he had to do what he had to do, start making cutbacks and different things like this. So you were faced with what the most challenging situation that I believe any mayor in any town had to be faced with. And although, as we tell people, Camden is a small city, per square mileage, but yet has a big city mentality. So crime was up.
Yes. Budgets were down.
Budget were down.
Yes.
You come in as the mayor. Let's talk about that.
So 2010, really 2009, when I was first elected to the position of mayor, was an incredible year. It was like, you won and you lost at the same time, right? And I remember saying to myself, because I had been out there, campaigning for then Governor Corzine. Again, I was, vice chair of the state party, so I'm going to go for my standard bearer. And so, things didn't work out, and we kind of knew at the end of the day what the polling was reading and where things were going to land. But I have to say that my experience in the Senate, being a former state senator from the city of Camden and serving on the Budget and Appropriations Committee, also being the vice chair of the Senate Committee for Urban Affairs, and also my work with the Joint Committee on the schools facilities for public schools, came to bear when I came home as the mayor. So what that meant is I was able to hit the ground running pretty quickly, because I understood the constructs of a budget. I understood, from the larger macro perspective about the state budget, and that the incoming governor was facing a budget deficit.
Correct.
And so, listen, we are in the state of New Jersey by Constitution required to present a balanced budget. And so that requirement also trickles down to local government. And it also means that you have to make tough decisions along the way, and you have to be innovative and come up with public-private partnerships and look for ways to bring revenue into the budget and or to get services or increase those services to your community. And so, you know, long story short, over time, you know, I was able to develop a relationship with the current governor, Governor Chris Christie, which demonstrates bipartisanship and support across the aisles. And, you know, that didn't just start with me as the mayor of Camden. I think our president, Barack Obama, when he was first elected, was really recognized for being able to walk on both sides of the aisle and bring people together in these United States of America. So there was already a demonstrated track record. And it has fared well for Camden. Again, my goal and mission is to, you know, put our best foot forward in the city of Camden to make Camden a shining urban model in the state of New Jersey. And I think that we're trending in that direction. The other day, just before I gave my state of the state, or state of the city rather, I looked at the speech that I gave in 2009 when I launched my campaign. And it really was, you know, my heart to the people of Camden and my commitment of what I would do. And, you know, I'm happy to report out that the commitments that I made in 2009, that we've hit most of those benchmarks, and that we're now working on, you know, the job training programs and bringing jobs at the same time. So if we're running both tracks of job training, workforce development, and also marketing Camden as a safer city, as a city to invest and to grow a business, then that convergence is going to finally happen for our folks.
Correct, and I think that speaks volumes. You know, there's an old saying that, you know, you can tell a champion by its opponents, you know, and if, as I always like to say it, if, you know, if I'm boxing in a ring with Steve Urkel, you know, I guess I'm supposed to win, but if I'm boxing against Floyd Mayweather, then that's challenging. And I think through your challenges that you had when you came in office to overcome, to see where Camden is at today, I think is remarkable. And that, you know, I know you don't hear it a lot, but you do hear it a lot now because the minds are changing, because people always will get on that train, and when they see a train turning, I think the people are finally starting to get it. You know, before we take our next break, and maybe we can go, and when we come back from our next break, I want to get, you know, I want the people to see Dana, if I may ask, without me being without me being disrespectful to the post that you hold. And we are very honored that you hold the post as mayor of the city of Camden, as the chief and executive director of this city. But music, and I've seen some of your music tastes and some of the things. What do Dana do when she's at home, and who is she listening to?
I love
for our
all
young people?
music. Oh my goodness! So I think I developed my music appreciation from my father, who, you know, I just remember on Lakeshore Drive, you know, that's when they would have the barbecues, and all the guys and men in the community would come together, and the women, and you know, we had to go to bed, of course. We couldn't stay up, right? By 8 o'clock, we were told to go upstairs and go to bed, right? But John Coltrane, the Thelonious Monk, you know, just so many musical greats out there, the Yellow Jackets, and you know, I have an appreciation also for gospel music. One of my favorites is Daryl Coley. You know, nobody can sing like Daryl Coley, Great Is Thy Faithfulness. You know, when I do my devotionals in the morning before leaving the house, or even the neo soul, you know, I love Jill Scott and Lettucey, and just, you know, all these good sounds. And of course, who can forget the Philadelphia sound, you know, because we're so close by. Patti LaBelle, you know, and Leon Huff and Kenny Gamble. And so I think my range of music is from, you know, one genre to the next, but whatever speaks to my soul, I think, is what I'm drawn to. You know, it's really that spirit soul music that on Sunday mornings, if you turn to 90.1, you just hear, you know, another elevation of, you know, spirit soul music that just connects in so many ways.
And I think that's so important. I think when we come back, we're going to still stay with being somewhat a little personal with you, but talk about how that experience makes you who you are, because we're going to talk about a little bit about education when we come back. And once again, we're here with Mayor Dana Redd of the city of Camden, and I'm honored to be in this room, graced with this room with a woman who's really changing the face of Camden. And if you're honest with yourself, you know, you may not always agree politically, but you must say that Mayor Dana Redd is a very genuine person. So we're going to be back, and we'll be back shortly.
So many kids' activities today seem to leave out the activity part. New research tells us that just getting children to walk an extra 35 minutes a day could spare them the pain of thinning bones later in life. Encourage your kids to get up, get out, and get moving.
Hello. Hey, Grandma, how about another grape soda?
A public service message on building strong bones for kids from the Pediatric Orthopedic Society of North America and the American Academy of Orthopedic Surgeons.
And we are back once again, and we're with Mayor Dana Redd. And as we left the last segment, we were talking a little bit about music, and you see the wide range of music that our mayor has, that she's to the young people. I don't know, would they use fierce today, or the words the young people use hip or whatever, but fleet, okay, they call it fleet today. You know, you see the mayor is very fleet today. And, but I think music plays a great role to me. I know in my household with our parents that they exposed us to so many genres of music, as you talked about John Coltrane from Neo Soul to the Philadelphia Sound, who, by the way, when we grew up in the 70s, you know, the Delaware Valley, particularly Camden with Leon Huff, was the place to be in music. And I always shied this with my friends when I was in college that, you know, in the 70s, everybody was in Philadelphia, even the Jackson 5s and Michael Jackson.
That's right.
This was the place to be. But nevertheless, you know, music, the sounds of instruments affect young people ability to learn. There's been many studies done by that. And you mentioned some great psychologists like Dr. Naeem Akbar and many other great people, literary people and psychologists are doing wonderful work in and around America. How important is education in the music and tying in everything, and the role that education is playing in the city of Camden and with this turnaround?
Education is very important, and I can't underscore that enough. Education just unlocks a whole different world, you know, for us on so many different levels, on a spiritual level, on a cultural level, on a career level. And that's why, you know, we're working so closely with Superintendent Paymara Hannaford to really put the supports in place for our children to grow and to thrive and succeed. I know that our children are seeded with enormous potential, and I believe in their ability to be, you know, among the best in this academic, you know, conversation. And so we just need to do all that we can to push them along and to make sure that they're able to realize their dreams. As you were talking about music, you know, I'm reminded of the music of the 70s because it spoke to the civil rights movement. So if you listen to a lot of the lyrics, it really tied into the you know, the social justice movement of, you know, Malcolm X, of Dr. Martin Luther King, and so many others that were on the forefront for the liberties that we experience today. And by no means are we there to the promised land. We still got a lot to do, and God knows we need to pray for and support our president, Barack Obama.
Correct.
But while our president has given us enormous opportunities to take advantage of, whether it's the Choice Neighborhood Implementation Grant, the Promise Neighborhood, and creating, you know, cradle to college to career opportunities, or now working with this superintendent, a you know, school to career opportunity, because we see manufacturing coming back online in the city of Camden. So being innovative, I think this president has given, you know, many urban centers the opportunity to do, is be innovative in how we educate and prepare our youth for the 21st century.
Yes, and I think that's, you know, we can't say enough about that. In prior conversations with you, I know that you are very, very stickler for young people reading.
Yes.
And how important is that young people read? You talk about certain books and things like that. How is important? I see that you're passionate about that, especially with our youth.
Absolutely. You know, reading is very, very fundamental to the ability of our children to develop as they advance into higher grades. And there is a whole campaign on a national level that is built around making sure that by grade 3, children are reading at grade level. Again, you know, the proficiency rates in Camden, we have some work to do. And we're not going to highlight the negatives. We realize that we have an issue. And we are prepared to develop the solutions to meet our challenges and to support the reading ability of our children, youth, and families in Camden. And so, you know, whether it's working with Mastery School, working with our traditional public schools, working with KIPP or Uncommon, you know, we have to put children first at this conversation. They have to be the first and foremost thing in our minds about why we make the decisions that we make and making the right decisions that are in their best interests. And so, you know, if you're not learning to read and acquire that skill by a certain grade level, then when it comes time to read to learn, you're still struggling with the basics. So we want to make sure our children are where they need to be by 3rd grade so that by the time they go to 4th grade and beyond, they're ready to read to comprehend. And that takes you through college even. You need to be able to read to comprehend.
Yeah, and going back just a little bit, some of our young people need to know, you know, talk about your elementary, middle school and high school experience and college experience, what schools that you went to, and so that you know, our young people who may be in those particular same schools can pay attention and listen, because as you talked about education, you talked about, you know, Mastery and KIPP and the traditional public schools. You know, education is so vast,
Yes.
and you really can't put a education in a box, because education is universal. And we want to just talk about a little bit about your history and you know, where you went to school at, and I think our young audience need to know that. Sure.
Yeah. So growing up in Camden, again during the 70s, my mother and father enrolled me in Sacred Heart, which is there in Waterfront South. And so this was during the time when, you know, public schools and Camden as a greater and larger community was a different place. And I think if you talk in the context of Camden, we had more of a middle class base here.
Correct.
And you also have more manufacturing jobs, whether it was Campbell Soup, RCA. You know, they might have been trending down and downsizing, and because of technological advancements, you know, things sort of shifted. But, you know, from Sacred Heart to Center City Catholic, played basketball there for a hot minute, thought I was going to be a basketball star. That didn't quite work out. And then from there, actually I had applied to Paul VI, but Paul VI had stopped accepting children from the Camden district. So I ended up going to Bishop Eustace Preparatory School there in Pennsauken. And I remember my first day there at school as a freshman. It was culture shock for me. There were literally only 10 minority students in the entire school from 9th through 12th grade, you know, and it was probably roughly 6 of us that were from Camden City. And so walking into the cafeteria and seeing all Caucasian students, I'm like, what did my grandmother just do to me? But I have to say that once I got used to the culture shock, that, you know.
We usually got that. We got the same thing here in Camden, but we got it in college, you know what I mean? Like when I left here and went to Arizona,
I got it very early on, and I'm like, I don't see anybody in here that looks like me. But I can tell you that I not only adjusted, but I became competitive, you know, because I wanted my academics. I still had to get up to, you know, my suburban counterparts academically. And so it took me about 2 years to do the remedial that, you know, I set for myself a goal that I wanted to be in the Junior Honor Society. And then I wanted to graduate among the 10th percentile of my class. And so I achieved my Junior Honor Society installation. And then by the time I graduated, I was ranked 38 out of over 212 graduates for the 12th grade. And so for me, that was an important accomplishment coming from Camden. And so maybe that's where my competitiveness came from in terms of, you know, showing who and what we are as Camden residents, that don't underestimate us.
I think we need to bring that kind of culture back, because I think that's what's missing, that our children don't have that competitive spirit. They
Right.
just in academics, not only in sports, but we knew that we were, representing ourselves.
Yes,
And we wanted to
yes.
represent well. We didn't care who we were competing with, and we wanted to represent our community well. But go ahead, Wasim.
But I think, we have some of our young people and those that are striving to be more competitive and put their best foot forward to the best of what they've been exposed to.
Correct.
Whether it's the Creative Arts High School that's representing us globally.
Correct.
There are young people that make us proud each and every day. The Medes High School, I've interacted with those young people that were given their Socratic seminars, and that's a discussion topic when you're in
Correct.
college. So, I think that, our young people need to realize that they are talented beyond their wildest expectation, in spite of what circumstances they may be faced at home or in the community. Listen, if I showed you the house that I grew up in on, Van Hook Street in Waterfront South, the bathroom wasn't finished, the kitchen was unfinished, but guess what? Grandma made it work somehow, and we all sat down to dinner as a family, but she still pushed education, education, education. You
Correct.
can't drop out, and then you have to go to college and be the first graduate from our family, the first generation to graduate from college. And so, I've not been the traditional college student because I had a younger brother.
Correct, yeah.
So I worked during the day as a bank teller and went to school at night at Rutgers University. And I did that not over a 4-year period, but quite frankly over a 10-year period. But I did not rest until I got my bachelor's. And since we're on the topic of education and we're impressing upon our children, youth, and families the importance of education. So I am a leader that likes to lead by example. I enrolled in a master's program because I want to be a better public servant for my city and take the skill sets that I'm learning from an HBCU, bring that back to Camden and expand what we're able to do and scale up our operations.
And I think that Camden would definitely benefit from that experience, and we're so thankful that I see where that tenacity comes from, that competitive spirit with your history and your background is a wonderful thing. And as we wind down on this segment, is there anything that you would like to, I was just, did a show with the superintendent, and he talks about some of the challenges that he have in education and dealing with our people. And I think it's wonderful how you and the superintendent partnership and how you partnership and your relationships that you have. And I watch you firsthand, the relationships. You talked about the governor, you talked about your stay on the state senate and the different things, how to develop relationships enable you to do what you do to give that public servant, as you would say, servantship back to the city of Camden. And we'll talk about that as we wind down this segment.
Sure, I think that part of that is a skill set of, agreeing to disagree without being disagreeable, learning the art of negotiation and finding common ground around the issues that matter the most, and then also being a consensus builder. So, I think that is something that I've learned, during my times of serving in various capacities about how to bring people together around the issues that we want to embrace to empower our community. The superintendent and the staff, are achieving significant progress in the respects of, 96% of our eligible young people being enrolled in pre-kindergarten. That
great.
is remarkable.
It's the start.
And
yeah.
I'm very proud, and I know we still have a lot of work to do. So we will continue to collaborate with the superintendent, with the school district, and then also from a municipal government perspective to make sure that we are scaling up what we're doing, particularly in our Department of Human Services, which runs the recreation program and a lot of our after-school programs. So we're having that dialogue about how do we tie into the programs that the district is offering and strengthen, how many families we're able to connect with and how we improve academic outcomes for urban youth and their families in the entire city. So I'm looking forward to scaling that up and rolling it out this year.
That's great. And as we wind down this segment, we're going to come back and we're going to, kind of close the show out on, if you don't mind, Mayor. I wish I could keep you a little longer, but I know you have a schedule that you must get back and serve in our community. But as a matter of fact, we're going to come back and we're going to talk about the wonderful job that you're doing here in the city of Camden with the State of the City address that you did recently. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to come back. We'll be right back.
Hey, Joe, what's wrong? Oh, wait a minute. Did you forget to register for the Selective Service System? Joe, you knew you had to register within 30 days of your 18th birthday. Joe, I'm disappointed. You know that there are serious legal penalties for not registering, and you can be barred from college loans and grants, vocational training programs, and many government jobs for the rest of your life. Well, there is an answer. Go register now. Yes, now. Technically, you're in violation of the law, but if you register as soon as you can, there will be no penalty. If you don't register before your 26th birthday, however, that's it. You'll be paying for that bad decision for the rest of your life. Don't let a dumb mistake ruin your life. Register for the Selective Service, even if you've missed the deadline. Go register at www.sss.gov or your local post office.
And welcome back. As we wind down on this segment of the Wasim Muhammad Show, I'm certainly honored to have our mayor here with us. But we're going to get right into some things. The state of the city, and you just did the address, and it's wonderful, and it was great presentation that you gave to the community, and we want to talk about that.
Thank you, Minister. Yesterday we were able to give the State of the City address for our community. It's similar to the president who gives the State of the Union, the governor who does the State of the State, our superintendent that did the State of the District. And the purpose is to report out on the progress and the achievements to date, and also to lay out the programs that we'll be undertaking in the new year. So we featured or just highlighted our progress in public safety with the new policing model of our Camden Metro. We highlighted our fiscal responsibility, transparency, and accountability, and the fact that we were able to get an investment grade bond rating for the city of Camden, something that had not been achieved in over 16 years. We got a triple B plus, and we're looking forward to going back to Standard & Poor's to upgrade that bond rating. We also talked about the collaboration and partnership with our superintendent, Payman Rahanaford, and the community, our parents, around improving educational outcomes for our children in the city of Camden. But then we ended by saying that the work ahead, and this is something that I've known for quite some time, is around the workforce development, customized job training, and we have a program that was named in honor of the late Ron Green, Elder Ron Green.
Correct.
It is the Ron Green Customized Job Training Program for Camden residents, and has been funded to a tune of $500,000 from the Department of Labor and Workforce Development. And so, you know, we're launching that this year. My call out to the residents is, you know, we're setting this up. We want you to come out, receive the training so that we could connect you with the employers that are hiring locally. We have commitments secured in MOUs where a number of employers have signed on to be partners with us in local hires. And we have a demonstrated track record, if you will, in working with the Ravitz family that opened a Price Right the latter part of last year and hired 75% of its workforce from the city of Camden.
Correct.
So we want to keep that trend going on.
And I just want to intercede right there. I mean, I think that's wonderful, because when you talk about private entities coming into the city of Camden, and you have a lot of them coming in, and just a discussion to think about the residents of Camden is wonderful. And I think that's something that needs to be highlighted and talked about, because, you know, private business come in, it's bottom line for them.
Right.
And they have to do what they have to do, but for them to consider your offer speaks too well to your leadership here in Camden. But see, I just had to highlight that out there.
Thank you. But
okay?
It's also, you know, I have to say that I have an incredible team of individuals and city council that we work in partnership, and that's the one good thing that I can say that happens in Camden that may not happen in other municipalities in the state. That we agree to disagree, but we come together again on issues that we believe will benefit the constituency of the city, particularly around the issues of, you know, job creation, local hires, and Curtis Jenkins, who's the vice president of council, a former labor leader, has always been a strong advocate of local hires and Camden residents on construction jobs, pre-apprenticeship jobs, and so, you know, just for me, I'm proud to have strong partners on the city council body working along with me, including our council president, Frank Moran. And so, so we're going to continue to market the city of Camden because we want to attract other private investment. We have the Philadelphia 76ers coming here. Scott O'Neill was at the State of the City. And again, he's excited to be building the practice facility and their administrative offices here. And he has committed that it's going to be the best practice facility out of the NBA. So I believe him, and that's great. We also have Holtec, and that speaks to the manufacturing jobs, that are going to be coming online for our citizens in the region. And what our young people need to be thinking about is careers in engineering.
Correct.
Because Dr. Singh wants to connect with our school district to integrate a curriculum at the high school level that begins to prepare our children for careers in engineering. But you have to be focused on STEM, right? That's science, technology, engineering, and math.
Correct. Yeah, I think that's great. And we can talk about education and bringing in with job training and job readiness and all those type of things. But you also are working with specific, as you talked about Ron Green, specific things as a result to our second chance citizens here in Camden. Unfortunately, in our community, we have so much of that. But nevertheless, I haven't seen you turn not an eye to that factor of giving people an opportunity, a second chance. You want to speak to that?
Sure. Well, I have to say I'm grateful to have so many citizens engaged in wanting to do something to give back to the Camden community. And I certainly want to empower them to do just that, working with organizations like Can Do, working with your temple, and you have been very instrumental in helping us to engage these groups and bring them together around the real conversations of what our people need in a city such as Camden. And these young men are incredible. You guys have been doing the basketball league, Cure for Camden.
Correct. Yes.
And so we're trending back towards the days where we used to have midnight basketball. And again, in partnership with the Camden School District, we have those basketball leagues for our adults. And so we want to roll that out and expand that across the city. And for the second chance population, we want them to know that this job training program and customized workforce development is for them.
Correct.
We've been able to place some second chance population individuals into viable employment opportunities. And from there, they've been able to receive career advancement. In fact, we've even hired a couple folks that are working for city government today and are doing an incredible job on our Operation Safe and Secure, sealing up our buildings and making sure that they're contributing to the public safety paradigm shift of making Camden a safer place to live, work, and raise a family.
Yes, and I think that's a wonderful thing. And as we talk, we're going to have you back again?
I would certainly hope so, because
maybe
I have more to report
segments.
out.
Correct.
Yes.
Maybe in smaller segments if time permits, but even in larger segments, I think there's a lot of conversation that we need to have that they get it directly from you.
Thank you.
I'm so glad that we have the opportunity, and I want to thank the superintendent of schools here in the city of Camden and yourself, your leadership, for allowing us, the community, this opportunity to have this conversation. I think that we're missing in the city of Camden to the public.
Yes.
I think you're showing in your leadership how transparent your leadership is, that you don't run and hide. You right there and you give it to them and give them the opportunities. As I said in one recent group setting we had, that our people got to get ready. The old song by they said it was Curtis Mayfield.
Oh, people get ready.
Get ready. The train is coming.
The train is coming. Yes.
The impressions.
Yes,
I know
yes.
it was. I said Curtis Mayfield, but somebody tried to correct me and say something else. But I can't think of the name of who I said, but he was a member of the Impressions.
Yes.
They didn't know my musical background. As I would like to say it, a connoisseur that I am.
Yes.
To my own self. We legends in our own mind. But nevertheless, but I can't wait to get you back to talk about more striking things like with public safety, and not only just from the standpoint of policing, but the wonderful work that you're doing, that you did in bringing in Cure for Camden in the city of Camden, and to talk about that in partnership with the great organization Center for Family Services, and so many wonderful things and so many services they give to the community. And I think that our people and the people and the citizens of Camden need to know how important that public safety is to you.
Yeah, and if I can add before you close out the segment, we are going to be launching our Camden Clean campaign once again, and I will be out and about in the community, cleaning and greening. Our kickoff date is going to be April 8th, and I really would love to see more of our residents come out and participate. We are also inviting volunteer groups to come out and be a part of this effort to advance sustainability in the city of Camden, to green our vacant lots and to plant trees, but also to reclaim our neighborhoods from the debris and the trash that kind of litters here and there. And residents can help us by working with our youth to pick up the trash, instead of walking and dropping, take and put it in the trash can, because every little bit makes a difference.
Correct. And I think that has to do with public safety as well.
Yes.
Because how your surroundings, your environment, and it makes you think more of yourself, and that if you're thinking positive, then negativity won't happen to you. And that's why I think with the the changes that in education, with some of the new schools that's going to get built here in Camden, and some of the construction with Camden High School, which is the anchor to me. And I'm not being biased because I went to Camden High School,
I know, right?
which is the anchor to Camden City. And I think when we starting to see that come back, and with that relationship with the governor. So as we wind down, to give you an opportunity to close out the segment before we wind down.
Well, Minister Wasim, I want to thank you for hosting me on your show this afternoon, and also thank our superintendent, Payman Rahana, for giving us the opportunity to update our Camden citizens on the work and progress that is underway in the city of Camden. I can tell our Camden citizens that all eyes are on Camden from a national level, a state level, and other municipalities are really talking about Camden in a positive way. And I want our Camden residents to begin to feel the pride, the hope, and also to really feel proud to live here in the city and to tout Camden as their home. So we're looking to overcome that challenge as well, of not downplaying that you come from Camden, but playing it up. If they ask you where are you from, let them know you're from Camden, New Jersey.
Correct. And there goes community, you have it. And this mayor is getting noticed not only here in South Jersey and the East Coast and Delaware, but all around the country. People are talking about you. I know our brother Manir always talk about you from Crow. And as always, it's an honor, it's a pleasure to have you here. And I'm so grateful and thankful to have you here. So once again, to our community here, we had our Mayor Dana Red, and it's an honor to be here to host this show. And I know she's, went through a lot of things, but we must pay attention to what this leadership is doing. I mean, she's pulling many people into Camden. She's pulling many people out of the pulpit into the community. She's pulling many people out of, like second chances, out of the mindset and lifestyle that they're living, and coming back to give back to the community. These are things that we see her doing, and I think it speaks volumes to that. And we can't thank you enough, Mayor, and I thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
There we go. Another segment of Wasim Muhammad Show, and we'll see you again next week. Thank you.